This is around midnight for Friday, November 3rd, and we are the local boys. I'm Joe Carbonetta. I've got Chevelle Devine sitting here, kind of filling in for Todd Fluker, but we do have Todd Fluker on the line. Hey, Todd, are you still there with us?
Who's filling in for what?
Yeah, he makes the stuff as he goes along. Do you hold your breath when you're doing the intros? You sound like you're holding your breath.
Do I sound like, how could I be holding my breath? There
I don't
would
know.
not be
You've
any
got this
sound coming
very
out of my
interesting
mouth.
announcer voice. It sounds like you're trying not to breathe. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that notices that.
I think you are even more delirious than our friend Todd.
There's a strong possibility that is also true, yes.
Okay. All right. So Chevelle's lost it, Todd. And how are you doing? By the way, if at some point you have to run to the bathroom, we'll understand. You know, you can just kind of hang up the phone and we'll know.
He's probably on the throne as we speak.
Yeah, I'm in the... No, I'm not. But I'll make sure it'll... You know, I'll mute it if I do. Don't worry about it.
Okay. We certainly
leave it on.
appreciate that.
We should revisit that show.
Save you
Let's see,
from the brunt of it.
If he had done this like via Hangouts, we could see if he actually crumples or folds.
No, I don't actually want to see that, and I don't think Todd wants everybody to know. As a matter of fact, okay.
I think tutorials are big on YouTube, so we should do that.
So somebody says you're using a bucket, Todd. Is that the case? Kelly tells us you're using a bucket.
Sometimes you got it coming out of both ends.
You had to pursue that, Joe. You had to pursue that.
Okay. Anyway, so moving on. This is going to be a subject that I think is near and dear to Chevelle's heart because he loves to rail on such things. It was released, or the information was publicized, I should say, or a big much ado was made out of a statistic that has recently been released that suggests that there is an increase in gun-related deaths in the last year, in 2016. It was up substantially from years before where there had previously been no noticeable increase in gun-related deaths. But as it turns out, for 2016, there were about 11,000 gun-related deaths, which is an increase.
Oh, man.
CJ, what do you think about that in general?
I think we should repossess all guns on the planet immediately to save those 11,000 lives.
I know we were having this conversation, and Todd, it's good that we have you on the line because you had stated that you were actually for more gun control. Are you still favoring that line of thinking?
Something has to be done.
I just don't feel that way. I just don't feel that way.
Okay.
What? So you really think the current system is fine as is?
Yes.
Keep on trucking.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you tell the people whose children got killed in elementary school shootings or whatever the hell's going on these days?
Okay.
How the hell can you look people like that in the face and tell them, hey, people got to have their guns?
Well,
let me respond to that. Hey, people got to have their guns.
Oh, my God. You cannot truly believe that. That is...
Look, man, I mean...
I'm choking on my own rage here.
Listen. Here's the thing, man. I mean, it sounds crass, it sounds cold, it sounds heartless. I get that.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that I'm a cold, crass, and heartless person. Here's the reality, though. This Constitution has nothing to do with how people feel or anything like that. The problem isn't that we have guns. The problem is that people are not being trained properly and that they're not being used properly. But that doesn't mean you go in and you take them all.
All right, Todd.
You just don't do it.
I'm gonna since you're the only one that's actually on the opposite side of this fence right now.
There's the part Chevelle said that is wrong. Nobody's saying we're going to go in and gank everyone's guns.
Not
we're not
yet.
Saying you can't have a gun.
Bro, if I want a grenade launcher, I should be able to have a grenade launcher.
See, Todd, I don't want to be reduced to having a gun that only can have one bullet in it, and that's it. Well, the military is loading up with fully automatic weapons, and the police are arming themselves with fully automatic assault rifles, and I get a single shooter. That's not... But I want to ask you a question, Todd. Again, since you're the only one on the other side of the fence right now, you're saying that this latest statistic of 11,000 deaths, this outrages you? Is that a fair characterization?
No, I mean, I can't say I pay attention to these things that closely, that I'm familiar with the numbers being up or down. I'd say comparing these numbers to what other countries have, other countries that still have guns, but, we're not talking about Sweden where they don't have any guns. You're talking about other countries like Japan where they do have guns, but very strict gun control.
Listen,
How is it
you
that
cannot
a
draw
system like
that same
can't be
parallel.
adopted?
You cannot draw that parallel. It is a false parallel.
By the way, Kelly says that she does not want Chevelle to have a grenade launcher.
Kelly is a communist. Look, you can't draw
very
that
well
parallel.
be.
I see, I get where people are coming from. I understand when you look at other countries, they don't have the same type of gun violence.
Todd, can you
They-
stop mixing yourself drinks over there?
I
while
told you he was in the
What are
bathroom.
you like making a martini or something? Can you stop that?
He's outraged. He's balling his fist and
that
grinding
what
his teeth.
He's trying to give you the cancer.
Sorry. It's skin on the rocks.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
Here's the thing. Everybody always wants to compare America to Europe, America to Canada, America to Japan in this particular case. You just can't do it. Those are not like America.
See, you know
America
what?
is a very unique creature.
everybody says that America has no culture, but that's we have no history, but that's not true. See, the Egyptians have their pyramids, and so do the Mayans, and the Europeans have whatever the Europeans have. We have guns. We have the Old West. That's our history. That's our culture.
I wouldn't even go that far.
But-
There's the problem.
Oh, he's taking a breath. This is interesting.
I'm trying to find the right words for this
know,
because
he's
this is
actually
a very,
trying to collect
this
his
is a
thoughts. I'm
very
frightened now.
delicate situation.
Oh, there's nothing delicate about it.
Yes.
You're like
But
a bull in the china shop.
Here's the bottom line. And until people are willing to actually accept this baseline premise, anybody who doesn't accept this baseline premise, automatically you can't even continue to have the conversation, because I don't want to hear any more comparisons to any other country. There is no other country on the planet like America, and people from any other country on the planet that have come to America will tell you that. That's why they come to America.
All right, so I want to throw another statistic at you, Todd, because I find this very interesting. People, of course, are supposed to be outraged. That's why this number is being bandied about now, that there were 11,000 gun-related deaths last year, which is a sudden spike. But in that same period of time, 2016, there were over 34,000 deaths attributed to vehicle accidents. Vehicle-related deaths. 34,000. All right, that's that's more than 3 times the amount of people killed by guns were killed by cars. And yet I don't hear anybody getting outraged over that.
Oh,
I
you want
turn-
to take my car?
I think
I turn on the TV.
you're gonna real fast.
I turn on the TV
After
and we see
Somebody
commercials.
just goes,
And I don't want to single anybody
after-
out. Wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
I don't want to single anybody out, but I will. Ford has been running these advertisements for its latest incarnation of the Mustang. 600 horsepower off the showroom floor. Some 18-year-old kid gets a hold of this thing and then drag races a friend, wraps the car around a tree, and if he doesn't kill himself and all 4 of his passengers, he takes out the innocent family of 4 coming home from Disneyland. And yet nobody's outraged at the auto manufacturers, and there's no amendment that says you have to have the right to drive.
Okay, but here's the thing. There is definitely a push to get people out of their cars.
That's only in California.
That's
That's only in California.
Well, no, I think it's
and
the case
it has
in
nothing
a
to
lot
do
of
with
the larger
vehicle safety or the
metropolitans.
number of deaths related to cars. It's all about trying to make more space and figure out a way to get rid of gasoline.
Yeah, well,
It has nothing to do with safety.
yeah. I just wish people would frame this conversation honestly.
So-
number one, the very first thing you're going to have to do is come to me and tell me you trust our government always.
Let me even further this argument that I was just making about the whole
That plastic
34,000
bag is really starting to irritate
deaths.
me.
Okay, we just had another unfortunate terrorist
Can you hear
attack.
it if I do that?
No. We just had another unfortunate terrorist attack that took place in New York.
yeah.
And what happened was that the
You can leave
terrorist
it. Just don't even worry
sat
about
there
it.
and got a hold of a car
Actually move
and
it.
used the vehicle to mow
just kidding.
down
Leave
a
it.
bunch of innocent pedestrians riding their bicycles and walking in the bike lane.
Okay, and
Where's the outrage
in a country
for automobiles?
in a country that does have very strict gun control? The automobile has been the primary tool. In England, how many times have we heard of a car plowing through people? Same thing happened in France. I think it happened in Germany or Amsterdam. This is a recurring theme. It's happened in the U.S. at least 2 or 3 times in the last couple of years, which is about the same frequency as some of these mass shootings. I mean, the mass shootings.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a terrorist act or something like that,
that last one you were talking about was a combo, right? That guy used a rented U-Haul, and
the guy jumped out with a
ran down a bunch
paintball
of
gun and a
people,
pellet
and then
gun.
popped out. Hey, chill, I'm talking. Give me a second.
All right.
Yeah, and they popped out and started popping off rounds as well. So you can't really chalk that up to cars versus guns because that's a combo.
Okay,
No,
but
I can.
what is the
because
common
how many
denominator
people
in
got
that?
killed by the guns he was running around with, the paintball gun and the pellet gun? How many people died that way? But he killed a lot of people with that car.
I would say the most
I think
heinous
you're
use
seeing
of guns.
changes to the rental policy of Home Depot before you're going to see gun control.
Oh, I totally agree.
You
I
know,
think
I
this
just-
isn't the first time
I just-
that
I
Home
can't do it.
Depot's
I
vehicles
cannot-
have been used for this, and apparently they're in the ISIS playbook. So if I was Home Depot, I'd be rethinking renting.
But let's all think back
large
to junior
vehicles.
high. How many of us did not want to go and have a look at the Anarchist Cookbook? Come
Oh,
on.
I still have a copy of the Poor Man's James
So,
Bond.
I mean,
what's,
we
what's
can't
your
be
point?
surprised. We cannot be surprised.
I'm not an insane person.
You don't have to be an
that.
insane person.
Wait, how many of these violent video games do you play where you just sit there shooting
Oh,
people,
here
first-person
comes.
shooters? How many of those do you play?
Here it comes.
Oh,
All of them
and
is
I
the right
want to
answer.
murder you right now.
And then teabag
Why,
you.
Todd, are you getting upset?
It's good being on the phone. I feel emboldened. I'm going to stand up to Chevelle.
So Kelly is saying that she believes that the ratio of people owning cars to the people owning guns makes the amount seem lower.
The thing that people don't want to do, first off, you've got to do an apples to apples comparison. And the common denominator in any of these situations where you're talking about gun violence, car violence, or whatever kind of violence, is you have a person who is raged. Now, granted, whatever the tool or weapon is going to enhance the amount of violence they can do. But that does not change that you're passing a law is not going to prevent that. What law can you possibly pass that would have stopped that person from renting that truck and plowing through those people? What law could you possibly pass that would have prevented Las Vegas?
Well, according to Todd, apparently eliminating all legally owned firearms would have
Listen, here's
saved us from that
the one thing that I will
horrific
say.
tragedy.
First off, we have to understand what the Second Amendment says. It says it's the right to bear arms against your government. Period. That's it. I'm not standing on anything else except that. And my last thing is going to be this. We are talking about the same government that sold guns to militias in Mexico as part of a drug deal. And they're telling me that I can't defend myself when those same people are coming into my community with their drugs and the guns we sold them to take over my neighborhood?
Well, to be fair,
I'm supposed to trust that government?
the anti-gun movement is largely spurred on by special interest groups that want to do away with everybody's right to own a weapon.
It's never going to happen.
I don't think that the political insiders on their own would have come up with this idea that we need to start liberating everybody's weapons.
Absolutely. It's definitely the political insiders because it's only the politicians who want to disarm the population. It's only the politicians.
Really, and all those protesters standing out there saying we need to pass more stricter gun control laws. They don't actually exist.
Yeah, they exist, but it's being bandied by the politicians because if it was something that many people felt that passionately about, it would have passed a long time ago. The bottom line is most Americans still stand on the Second Amendment. Most Americans still stand on that. And if you don't want it,
Well,
then
these
call
days a
for the
lot
vote
of them
today.
are starting to kneel. But anyway,
Call for the. Well, there's that. Don't get me started on that.
I'm going to try and forget you said that.
I can't. I genuinely, wholeheartedly, as a person who has had friends and family on both sides of the gun, as victims and as perpetrators, I understand. I need people to understand that I understand the danger and the reality of gun violence. I get it. But that's not what the Second Amendment is about. But having the Second Amendment would help me to protect myself from those violent people, as well as the government it was designed to protect us from. People just don't, I don't know what kind of utopia and fantasy world you live in.
For the problems we're facing with these issues? What can be done?
I don't think people are serious about dealing with these issues. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep putting Band-Aids on.
Exactly. They're not.
There's one conversation
that's the main problem.
No, well, but you can't go and fix problem C because problem A is a problem. You got to address problem A. And the number one problem in America right now is not gun control. The number one problem in America right now is race relations, and that's a conversation nobody is really serious about having. We all like to have our slogans, our catchphrases. Everybody wants to be woke, but nobody's having legitimate conversations about it.
Speaking of race relations and conspiracy theories, which continue to abound on the chat, I'm noticing, did you happen to hear the news reports that have been released which chronicle what the Russians were actually attempting to do in undermining our elections?
Nope.
And
Tell me.
that several of their primary plans were to incite race relation issues.
We're doing a good job of that ourselves.
Well, that's probably true. But yeah, but apparently they spent a lot of time trying to get the black community against the white community and the white community against the black community, as you know, to basically divide and conquer, if you will, to get everybody so caught up in political end fighting that our entire political system would just become a shambles.
Yeah,
Which I guess
I thought they were just trying to get woke.
Yeah, nope.
Okay.
Ain't nobody woke, man. Just sleepwalking. That's all.
That's what I heard somebody say on a podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
I think I said that.
Yeah, that was Chevelle. You just said that.
Did I say that last week? I think I said that. I don't know.
Trying to get woke.
Yeah.
That's a little far afield of the gun control issue that we started out discussing, but
this is something we should probably tackle another time. But I'm serious about the number one problem in America being race relations. It's permeated every aspect of everybody's lives, whether they want to see it or not. It's just the reality. Until we have that conversation honestly, I don't think we can have an honest conversation about gun control.
I'm not sure why you are convinced that is the precursor to gun control.
It's the precursor to honesty. It's the precursor to building trust in the government we're supposed to be trusting to protect us. Because if you go to anybody in the community that I'm a part of, African-American males, we have a very different experience. You take me and you take somebody else from pretty much any other ethnic group and you put them in the same car, have them driving down the same street and have them getting pulled over by a police officer, you're going to get two different outcomes.
Okay.
There's two different perceptions that exist.
So if I read you correctly, what you're basically saying is you don't want to give up your gun because you don't trust anybody, starting with the government and working your way down.
I wouldn't say I don't trust anybody. I don't trust the government to defend me the same way they would defend a Kardashian.
Well,
they're not going to do it.
From that standpoint, we're all screwed.
Yeah, that's exactly
Well,
right.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Also,
And the
they're
Kardashians
earners.
can hire people to go
Oh,
out
my
and
God.
catch guns. In fact, that's one of the things that a lot of these celebrities do, because a lot of them have very serious and legitimate concerns about violence being perpetrated against them, especially in the whole hip-hop culture where violence is a big part of it. But a lot of these artists won't carry guns. That's why they have entourages and bodyguards. They have all of those people carrying all of the weapons and all of the drugs, even though they themselves
Well, sure.
don't partake.
That way, if somebody gets off, they don't go to jail.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
And politicians have a secret service. So if I can get my own personal secret service, cool. I won't carry a gun. But I just want the same rights they have. That's all I want.
huh.
They got better.